Jai Hind everyone, I am from Computer AA of India and student of Shivam Yadav, founder of Computer I of India. Let's start now. Imagine a time when programming was complex and time-consuming until a revolutionary software, Visual Basic, entered the scene. Back in 1991, Microsoft introduced Visual Basic, a third-generation programming language based on BASIC and an integrated development environment, or IDE. This software was a game-changer in the realm of programming, bringing about a host of new possibilities. Visual Basic, often referred to as VB, was known for its support of rapid application development, a concept that was revolutionary at that time. This meant that developers could create applications at a speed that was previously unheard of. The ability to quickly develop applications was not just beneficial for developers, it also had a significant impact on businesses and industries that relied on these applications. But the innovation didn't stop at rapid application development. VB also supported the development of graphical user interface applications. These are applications that allow users to interact with electronic devices through graphical icons and visual indicators, as opposed to text-based interfaces. This made applications more user-friendly and intuitive, enhancing the overall user experience. VB also championed event-driven programming. In simple terms, this means that the flow of the program is determined by events such as user actions, sensor outputs, or external messages. This is a significant shift from traditional programming, where the flow is determined by the program structure. And lastly, VB supported both the consumption and development of components via the Component Object Model, or COM technology. COM is a binary interface standard that allows software components to communicate. This was a major step forward in programming, allowing for greater flexibility and efficiency in the development process. This was the beginning of a new era in programming, making it accessible to more people. But the journey of Visual Basic was just getting started. As with any technology, Visual Basic too evolved over time, adapting to the changing needs of the programming world. The journey of Visual Basic, or VB as it's often called, is a testament to the relentless march of progress in the realm of programming languages. VB saw its dawn in the year 1991 as a third-generation programming language based on BASIC. It was an integrated development environment, or IDE, from Microsoft for Windows. Its claim to fame was its support for rapid application development of graphical user interface applications, event-driven programming, and both consumption and development of components via the Component Object Model technology. From its inception, VB underwent several iterations, with the final release being version 6 in 1998. This version, fondly known as VB6, marked the end of an era, as Microsoft decided to stop supporting the VB6 IDE in 2008, relegating it to legacy. However, the story of Visual Basic did not end there. The Microsoft VB team continued to maintain compatibility for VB6 applications through its It Just Works program on supported Windows operating systems. This commitment to ensuring the smooth operation of older VB programs demonstrates the significant impact VB had on the world of programming. VB was intended to be easy to learn, just like BASIC. The development of a VB application was exclusively supported via the VB Integrated Development Environment, an application in the Visual Studio suite of tools of that era. Even though modern versions of Visual Studio support many languages, the VB IDE was dedicated solely to VB. Despite the shift towards newer programming languages, some software developers in 2014 still preferred Visual Basic 6.0 over its successor, VisualBasic.NET. However, it's worth mentioning that Visual Basic 6.0 was selected as the most dreaded programming language by respondents of Stack Overflow's annual developer survey in 2016, 2017, and 2018. Visual Basic had carved a niche for itself in the programming world, but it wasn't without its challenges. The new millennium brought with it the .NET technology, and Visual Basic had to adapt. As the world of programming was rapidly changing, the Microsoft team saw an opportunity to evolve their programming language. This led to a significant transformation of Visual Basic. In the early 2000s, Microsoft introduced the .NET Framework, a platform that allowed developers to create applications for the web, Windows, and mobile devices. this was a game changer for Visual Basic as it was rebranded as Visual Basic.net, also known as VB.net. VB.net was not just a new version of Visual Basic, it was a complete overhaul. It brought with it a set of changes that were both significant and necessary to keep up with the evolving technology landscape. The language's syntax was modernized and streamlined, and the Integrated Development Environment, or IDE, was upgraded to support the development of .NET applications. However, the shift to .NET was not just about an updated syntax or a new IDE. It was about redefining the way developers approached programming with Visual Basic. The object-oriented programming capabilities of VB.NET were far superior to those of its predecessor. This allowed for more complex and dynamic applications to be developed, a crucial requirement in the age of advanced web and mobile applications. The shift to .NET also meant that Visual Basic now had full access to the .NET framework libraries. This opened up a world of possibilities for developers, as they could now leverage the power of .NET to develop more robust and feature-rich applications. However, it's worth noting that the shift to .NET was not without controversy. Some developers preferred the simplicity of the classic Visual Basic and felt that the changes made in VB.NET were too drastic. Despite this, Microsoft chose to stick with their decision, believing that the benefits of the .NET framework far outweighed the potential drawbacks. After a while, Microsoft decided to drop the .NET from the name and rebranded it back to Visual Basic. So now, Visual Basic can refer to the classic version, the .NET version, or both. With the shift to .NET, Visual Basic was ready to take on the challenges of the new age of programming. Despite the evolution and changes, Visual Basic leaves behind a legacy that's hard to ignore. In the world of programming, it holds a unique distinction of being both loved and dreaded. Even in 2014, years after its relegation to legacy status, Visual Basic 6.0 held a certain charm for many developers. The reason for its continued popularity is not hard to fathom. Visual Basic was designed to be simple, making it an attractive choice for beginners. It offered a low learning curve, allowing novices to start programming without the intimidating complexities that other languages might present. With its integrated development environment, a programmer could visually arrange components on a form, specify attributes and actions, and write code that directs behavior. It was this simplicity and ease of use that made Visual Basic 6.0 a favorite among many. However, the same factors that contributed to its popularity also led to its dread. The simplicity that made it such an easy language to learn also made it easy to write bad code. As a result, Visual Basic 6.0 was selected as the most dreaded programming language in Stack Overflow's annual developer survey in 2016, 2017, and 2018. The language was often criticized for encouraging sloppy programming habits and for its lack of modern features. It was also known for its performance issues, although improvements in computer speed and native code compilation have mitigated this problem to some extent. Despite these criticisms, it's worth noting that Visual Basic played a significant role in making programming more accessible to a wider audience. It brought coding out of the realm of the elite few and made it approachable for the many. Like it or hate it, there's no denying the impact Visual Basic had on the world of programming. Visual Basic revolutionized programming, but how has it impacted us today? Visual Basic, or VB, played a pivotal role in shaping the landscape of modern programming. It brought about a revolution in the world of software development by making the process more accessible and user-friendly. This was a game changer, particularly for beginners and those transitioning from other fields into programming. VB was a pioneer in the idea of rapid application development. It introduced an integrated development environment, or IDE, that allowed programmers to create graphical user interface applications quickly and efficiently. This feature was groundbreaking at the time and has since become a standard feature in most modern programming languages. Furthermore, VB's event-driven programming model was another innovative feature that has had a lasting impact. It allowed for a more interactive and responsive user experience, a concept that is now at the heart of most modern software applications. Moving on to the current state of Visual Basic, it is important to note that while it may not be the go-to language for most new projects today, it is far from obsolete. there are still a considerable number of legacy systems running on VB, and the skills to maintain and update these systems are still in demand. Moreover, VB's influence can be seen in many modern languages. Its successor, VisualBasic.net, continues to carry the torch, offering the same user-friendly approach with the added benefits of the .NET framework. Other languages, such as Python and JavaScript, also incorporate elements of VB's approach, making programming more accessible to a wider audience. In conclusion, the impact of Visual Basic on the world of programming is undeniable. It not only revolutionized the way software was developed, but also laid the foundation for many of the concepts and features we take for granted in today's programming languages. From revolutionizing programming to leaving a lasting legacy, Visual Basic truly changed the game.